Welcome to WANM Sports presents the Coach Willie Simmons Show. I'm your host, Calvin Sykes, and joining me is FAMU football head coach Willie Simmons. Coach, thank you for joining us yet another week.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So FAMU added another win to its record after a 52-30 win against Delaware State. So what are some positive takeaways from Saturday's game?
Well, obviously, whenever you can score 52 points in a game, that's a positive for the offense. I thought those guys played extremely well. Thought Ryan Smith came back after a 1 week layoff, so to speak, and played a phenomenal game. Let's say Ryan Stanley, and Xavier Smith. I mean, what can you say about this guy? 9 catches, 184 yards, 4 touchdowns. Broke the school record for touchdown receptions. Wow. I think we had our season high in rushing last week with 164 yards on the ground, so 161. So starting to kind of get that going at the right time. And then, special teams had a kick return for a touchdown, which was huge for us. And defensively, I thought we played very well in spurts. Second half, kind of gave up some big runs there a little bit later on, but overall, great team win. Pushes us to 8-1 overall, but more importantly, 6-0 in conference play, and keeps all of our goals intact as far as being Black College National Champs.
So I know that you always strive for excellence. So what are just some areas that probably need to be cleaned up moving forward within the last 2 games of the season?
Well, we put the ball on the ground 3 times. We had 3 fumbles, recovered 1, but lost the fumble. Terrell Jennings lost the fumble early. Deshaun Smith lost the fumble that resulted in a touchdown for Delaware State. And Bishop Bonnet had a fumble but recovered his own fumble. But we talk about always handing the ball to the official, which means we never want to put the ball on the ground. Again, we're plus 8 or something like that in turnover margin on the season, which is a tremendous mark. And again, as long as we can continue to protect the football, I think we have a chance to be a very, very dangerous offense. And then the negative on the defensive side, for the first time all season, except for the UCF game, I thought we played pretty poorly in run defense. Again, 183 yards rushing for them, gave up a 100-yard rusher. So we didn't tackle the ball very well, didn't do a good job running to the football, playing, assignment football on that side of the ball. So clean those couple of things up, and I think we peaking at the right time.
So after missing 2 games, it seems like Ryan Stanley didn't miss a beat. So how would you rate his performance, on Saturday?
I thought Ryan played an extraordinary game. Again, after sitting out versus Morgan State, you always worry about a little bit of rust. But he's a seasoned veteran. His 5th year in the program. Has started a ton of games for us, and he came back and led this team like he always does. Made great reads, some phenomenal throws. Again, 4 touchdown passes. Basically all first half pretty much. I mean, we pulled them for a lot of the second half. Had to put them back in once they got within 3 scores. But again, played a real solid game. And whenever you can continue to find Xavier Smith and allow that guy to make the plays that he makes, it makes for a pretty exciting offense. But Ryan's doing a great job of what we call driving the car, which means not trying to do too much. Again, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and 60% completion percentage. You'll take that every day of the week.
So at halftime, your team was leading 31-3. Seemed like it was the game was over. So how did Delaware score 27 points after halftime?
Well, again, 1 was attributed to the fumble that they returned for a touchdown. We jumped off sides and gave them an extended drive, and they ended up capitalizing off that drive. So we started playing, I think, relaxing a little bit on defense. And, again, we had played great against the run all season. One of the top rushing defenses in the conference. And, again, just uncharacteristically allowed them to have some positive gains in the run game. So that's pretty much what happened. We gave up a big fade ball there near the end in man coverage, which you don't want to get beat deep.
Okay.
And so, but again, when you have that type of cushion, a lot of times it's a little bit harder to keep them engaged and locked in. We're still developing that kill a mosquito with an axe mentality that Jake Gaither made popular around here. And but it's all part of building our program up to the level that we expect to see every day.
Last week's episode, special team was like a focal point because of the poor play against Morgan State. So was that group for special position group cleaned up this week?
Well, when you look at the fact that we had a kickoff return for a touchdown, that says a lot. We had pretty good protection on punt. Fadul did shank one, which is uncharacteristic of him. First punt, he kind of shanked it a little bit, but he still averaged, I think, 45 yards per punt. Kickoff coverage, we covered fairly well. They gave up 1 or 2 big returns, but I think one of those was negated because of a penalty. So we covered fairly well, and of course, every time they punted, we fielded the ball and gave it back to the offense, which is what we always gauge the success of that unit off of. So top to bottom, I thought the special teams performed really well. And then when you add the kickoff return for a touchdown on top of it, that's kind of the icing on the cake.
So Xavier Smith appeared on ESPN segment Helmet Sticker, presented by Joey Galloway. So what does this mean, overall success mean to your program and to him specifically?
Well, I think it goes to the point that we tell our young men that, if you do the right things, you will get the recognition, and I think that says a lot for the work that our guys are putting in, but it also says a lot for the future of this program because prospective student athletes can see that if you come to FAMU, you do great things on the field, that you can be recognized. Xavier Smith was recognized on national television by Joey Galloway, who was an all-time great wide receiver, for having a breakout game. And that's the type of stuff that you want to see to continue to grow and build this program up. But I'm very happy for Xavier. He deserves it. And it's good to get FAMU on the national spotlight.
So now kind of more looking at a bigger picture, well, how does this instance change the narrative that you can't get exposure from historically black colleges programs?
Well, I think if you just look at the facts and look at the statistics, I mean, the MEAC and the SWAC have had probably more players drafted than any mid-major, not mid-major, but FCS conference. We had the NFL Rookie of the Year last year with Darius Leonard from South Carolina State. Tariq Cohen was an All-Pro, from North Carolina A&T. Brandon Parker was a high draft pick out of A&T. Joshua Miles was a draft pick out of Morgan State last year. A&T had a defensive end, get drafted in the 7th round. Then the SWAC, Alabama State had a first-round offensive tackle. And so, again, I think if people really just do their research and really just look and see, in today's age, with social media, with the information technology, if you're good, they'll find you. And so you don't necessarily have to play at a Power 5 institution or a Division I FBS institution to make All-American, to break records, to play in the NFL. You can do that right here at FAMU, just like hundreds of others before them have done, because we have put out as many NFL players, as many Division I FBS programs, let alone FCS and black college.
Well, I'm pretty sure alumni want to see the next one come under your kind of your head coaching tenure here, so hopefully that happens. It's time now for a break, and when we return, WANM Sports Business, the Coach Willie Simmons Show. This is a WANM Sports Business, the Coach Willie Simmons Show. Coach Simmons now is posted in the hot seat. So now, Coach, fight the finish has been the motto this year for your team. So how do you keep you guys focused since you're 2 games away from the HBCU national champions?
Well, again, every week that we meet after a win, I pose the same question to the team, and that question is very simple, and it's, are we satisfied? And the resounding answer is always no, from the players, and so we're not satisfied. We're blessed and we're fortunate to be in this position to be 8-1, to be 6-0 in the MEAC, to be nationally ranked, to be the #1 team in black college football. It's truly a blessing, but we understand that with our motto of fight to finish, we're not at the finish line yet. We can kind of start to see it off in the distance a little bit, but we're not there yet. So the Bible talks about running a race in a way so that we win. And we want to make sure that we run our race every day so that we win the race and not just go through the motions, not just say we got to the finish line and didn't finish. We want to make sure we push all the way through the finish line, and that's how we prepare every single day. That's our mindset, that's our attitude, that's our approach to excellence, and our commitment to it. And so I think these guys will be locked in during this bye week to make sure that we continue to get better at little things and the fundamentals, because, again, next time we take the field, it's a conference game, which means everything that we've worked for up to this point is on the line when we take on Howard in a week and a half.
So with this being a bye week, what does this week look like for the coaching staff and then the players too?
Well, the main thing for the players is that they focus on getting caught up academically. As the season goes on, you miss a lot of classes on Fridays because we're traveling. And so some guys have missed some assignments, some guys have missed some tests, and we want to give them a chance to make that work up, and so that we can stay ahead in the classroom. And so that's the #1 priority always. The #2 priority is making sure that we get healthy. Obviously, we've got some guys that are banged up. David Manigo has missed the last few games. Bishop Bonnets is returning off a knee injury. Chad Hunter's still battling injuries.
Wow.
And so our injury report is getting longer and longer every single day. So you want to give those guys a chance to really get their bodies back since we don't play a game this week. And then the last thing is always to try to get caught up in the head in recruiting as coaches. We want to take this time to really evaluate a lot of high school and junior college film, possibly get on the road, see some prospective student athletes, and give us a leg up in the recruiting battle. So that's kind of what our focus will be this week. Academics, get healthy, get caught up in recruiting.
So interesting you say now. I want to dive more into recruiting. So what does your recruiting efforts look like on the coaching staff since it's the bye week? Have there lists been made possibly on potential guys you could be talking to within the next week, or what does that just look like?
Well, we have a recruiting database that we use. We've already ranked guys coming out of the spring.
Wow.
After going out and evaluating guys, we had some prospect camps this summer that we've had a chance to evaluate guys. And so now that we have a week off from playing a game, so to speak, we'll take some time to go in and review some of that new film that guys are putting out now. We'll get on the road and see some games. I think it's the last week of regular season games. And so here locally and, in about a 4-hour radius, we'll get out and watch some games and, try to see some guys in person and just to continue to do our due diligence in the evaluation process, because that's really what the recruiting game is all about. Great evaluations as far as the ability to play, the ability to come here and get in school but stay in school, and then their love for the game of football and how they fit in to the culture that we're building here. And the more you can communicate with those guys, get out and see them, have some FaceTime, the better you'll be able to decide who's the best fit for this program.
Well, we have Rickards, Gabi, Femi, DRS in the area, and Rickard and Gabi's all through your program on this roster. So can we expect some local guys possibly in this next signing class?
Well, I hope so. One of my commitments when I got hired was to really put our footprint back in the Big Bend area. I'm a product of the Big Bend. I played my high school football right down the road in Quincy. And so I know how talented this region is. I know what type of athletes come out of this region, how much they love football, and a lot of ties to the university. And you want to bring guys here who have ties to the university. They bring more fans to the games, and they build more community awareness and things of that nature. So we have some really good high school football programs here, and we definitely look forward to getting in those schools, really getting those guys on campus for official and unofficial visits, and hopefully we can steal some away from some of the mid-majors, mid-major programs that really flood this area, trying to pull our top-tier talent up to the Northeast, the Midwest, some places way far off. And hopefully these guys will realize that FAMU is a very viable place to play college football as well as go to school to get a great education that you can do great things with.
When we return, we'll get to know the man behind the headphones. This is a WANM presents the Coach Willie Simmons Show. Welcome back. So now kind of nicknames are a big part of when it comes to sports. And I want to know, what's the story behind people calling you Shotgun?
Well, back growing up in Quincy playing football, we had a very animated PA announcer.
Okay.
And so our high school games were really legendary. Anytime we had a game at Corey Field, people came out to see the football team, but they also came out to hear the PA announcer. And he kind of had a nickname for everyone. That was his claim to fame.
Okay.
And so I obviously was a quarterback. Had a fairly decent arm, and that draw the interest of a lot of great institutions. And he just out of nowhere one day dropped back the pass and threw a pass, and he said Willie Shotgun Simmons, and it just kind of stuck. And he kept that name going throughout my entire high school career. And I never referred to myself as Shotgun. I never even talked to anybody about Shotgun. But once I started getting recruited, I started to see Willie Shotgun Simmons pop up in, when people refer to my name. So it was one of those deals, like many nicknames, that you don't really pick for yourself. People kind of pick for you, and it just kind of sticks. So, Shotgun was invented about around 1997, somewhere in there. And it's been there for over 20 years now. And so it's a part of my, I guess, identity as a coach now. And the name sticks. People seem to enjoy it. And so because it's not offensive to anyone, again, people seem to really draw to it and they really like it. We'll keep it.
Well, I hope you I don't know if you pay attention on social media, but alumni calls you Warnish Way Willie. So that's something else that you could possibly add. So talk to me just about having alumni, have all of these names for you from the bubblegum and now Warnish Way Willie.
Well, again, the One Way Willie obviously came from the fact that there were two Willies in
Yeah.
Tallahassee. Me being the head coach of Head Fam, and Willie Taggart at Florida State. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's no longer the case. And of course, my prayers and
Yeah.
thoughts go out to he and his family and his team. But that was kind of a unique way to brand both Willies.
Yeah.
And Wanish Way Willie, of course, three W's, Wanish Way Willie, kind of was kind of catchy, and nicknames that are catchy seem to stick. And so it's something that I think one of my classmates, a huge alum, huge supporter of the program, he might have been one of the first ones to really put it out
Wow.
there, and then it just kind of caught on like wildfire. So, Shotgun, Wanish Way Willie, you name it. I get nicknames. I guess I'll be called Watermelon Bubblegum Willie or something. I don't know. But, again, it just shows the strength of our fan base, our alumni base. Rabid fans, passionate about this university, passionate about this football program, and passionate about our pursuit of excellence in everything that we do. And that's what makes this place special, and the fact that they think enough about me to do something as small as buy me a box of gum, knowing that I chew gum during the games. That they found out right here on the show, by the way. So it obviously shows that the show is doing extremely well. People are watching, paying attention, and they're trying to take care of old coach. So we definitely appreciate it. And to Rattler Nation out there, thank you for all the love. And I think I have enough gum now to get me through the rest of the season. So don't need any more boxes. But if there are other ways you want to help fund the program, feel free, because every little bit counts.
So kind of like one of the biggest news on Tallahassee you kind of mentioned was the firing of Willie Taggart. There's obviously a personal relationship between you two. So just talk about really what that means to you, seeing that you guys really had a real close.
Well, obviously in this profession, we understand in today's age of what we kind of get ourselves into. And, we when you coach at institutions like Florida A&M, like Florida State, places that are used to winning, places that have so much history and pride in them, it comes with the level of scrutiny that you got to have tough skin to deal with. And we know that that people expect wins right away, and we're about building programs. I think that's one of the similarities, aside from our names both being Willie. I think that was a similarity that we shared, that we're both interested in not only winning on the football field, but doing things to win in life, teaching these young men the principles, the values, the things that they need to do to be able to win once they leave their respective universities. And a lot of times, when you go into a culture or into an environment where that maybe hadn't been the case, it takes a lot to pour that into these guys. And so here, for example, our first spring, we spent a lot of time on disciplinary things, on team building, on bonding, on learning the alma mater, on a lot of things that weren't necessarily geared towards winning games on Saturdays. Fortunate for our guys, they bought into that, and we were able to produce some wins in year one. This year's kind of taken off, but when it doesn't happen at the rate that maybe people think it should, that's when you run into situations like this. And so I have the utmost respect for Willie. I know him personally. I know what he's about. I know what he stands for. I know if you ask any player over there, they'll say the same thing. And they saw the changes that were taking place. They weren't resulting in wins necessarily on the field at the rate that Seminole Nation might have wanted, but I do think you see a difference in those guys, and their class attendance, their attitudes around campus, their community service, all the things that we as coaches take great pride in. I think you see that over there. So again, it's the nature of college football. I think Willie kind of knew what he was getting himself into when he did it, and he's not the only one, unfortunately. This time of year, this is kind of what people are starting to not look forward to, so to speak, but we'll see more of that. Every year it's about 20 to 30 jobs that come open at the college level. At the Division I, that's just a Division I FBS level. That's not even talking about FCS in Division II. So there's about 20 to 30 jobs at that level, another 15 to 20 at this level. And so every year there's a lot of turnover because of the need or the want to win right now. And unfortunately, they're not giving you as much time maybe as they were in the past. They may expect it in year one or year two, or, and as we see, it happens pretty quickly. So again, unfortunately, definitely. But, I know Willie's a faithful man. and his family. I know they're praying, and we're praying for them, and everyone else is as well. And I feel good that he's going to land on his feet. And he's a great football coach, and of course, you can't leave good coaches out there too long. Somebody's going to swoop him up, and I think he'll find success at another place. And I think whoever takes over at Florida State will see a different culture of maybe what he came into when he first took the job a week before I did here.
This has been a WANM Sports presents the Coach Willie Simmons Show.